In what way is God like a shadow? And he said, the shadow of a person is an exact mimic of what his body does. You can't move your hand faster than the shadow. You can't raise your hand higher than the shadow. You can't put up 2 fingers and have the shadow put up 4. Exactly what you do is what the shadow represents. Why? Because it is a representation of light being cast upon you, and the part of you that blocks that light gives a result. God's light upon us is exactly the same. His light is constant. You take yourself out of the sunlight, there's no shadow. You put yourself in the sunlight, there's shadow. The larger you make yourself, the bigger the shadow is. God will mimic in your life. He will be present in your life as much as you make him present in your life. So therefore, your understanding, your emunah, so to speak, I have to say this very carefully, but the language of Chazal, the language of the Zohar is wild. The language of the Zohar is, kaviyachol, so to speak, notnim koach le'adonam, that we give power to God. How could we give power to God? How could that be? I'm going to give you an answer, but because we live in America, most of you won't know what I'm talking about. If you lived in Europe, or you lived in Israel, I think 80% or 90% of the cars they produce outside of America are stick shift. In America, almost all the cars that you buy are automatic. So in America, you never need to go to a rental car company and ask if it's automatic or manual transmission. If you go to Europe or other places in the world, if you don't ask, you might wind up with a manual transmission car. It's not a given that cars are automatic. So if you never learned, you might not understand the example. But I want you to imagine on a manual car, you might understand this if you're willing to destroy your car. I want you to imagine you press the gas pedal to the metal. Your RPMs are through the roof. You're giving so much fuel to the engine is racing. It's capable of giving you 150 miles an hour with these RPMs. You just haven't taken the gear and shifted it from neutral or park into drive. In Hebrew, the expression is mashkia beneutral. And like every Israeli will always do, they'll tell you, תגיד לי, איך אומרים neutral באנגלית? The gas is there. The engine is turning. The power is present. But you didn't put the gear into place. So all of that power goes where? Goes nowhere. That's what the Zohar means. Notnim koach le'adonam. Until we're standing lifnei Hashem, in front of Hashem, we didn't put the gear from neutral into drive. You want to get everywhere. Shift in your mind, literally, shift in your mind into driving with God.